Just the facts without the spin. You're listening to Leftover Politics, your source for politics in plain English.
Oh yeah, that's right, baby. We got video. Moving up in the world. Welcome to the show, guys. My name's Jake Gurman, host of the Leftover Politics podcast. This is our first video podcast. I know. I'm excited. I'm excited to be doing this. We're going to be jumping back on schedule, hitting weekly podcasts up. Typically on Wednesdays. They might not be up until Thursday. We'll see, depending on how busy I am. Anyways, you can follow us, leftoverpolitics.com. You can subscribe to this channel. Follow us on Twitter at leftoverpolitic, just without the S. You know, Twitter handles can only be so long. You can follow me personally at JM Gurman. That's JMGIRMAN. Let's get right into it. There's so much to talk about this week, man. I had a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about, and then I had to replace it with new stuff, just because so much happened this week. Not least of which, though, maybe one of the greatest things to come out of this hectic week in politics and economics is the birth of a new meme. I am talking, of course, of Triggly Puff. I know you guys were upset when DiCaprio won an Oscar, because that meme died. It was very sad. But luckily, from the ether of social justice warrior frustration comes Triggly Puff. It's amazing, isn't it? So what are the origins of Triggly Puff, you might ask? Good question, sir. I will explain. For those of you who don't follow the political commentators very closely, as closely as I do at least, which I'm trying to become one of them, so I gotta see what they're doing, trying to bust into that circle. Anyways, sorry about that. Anyways, Milo Yiannopoulos, Steven Crowder, and Christina Hoff Sommers had an event recently at, I believe it was the University of Massachusetts. If you don't know who those people are, Milo is a Breitbart reporter and political commentator. Steven Crowder is a comedian and political commentator. They both have their own shows. And Christina Hoff Sommers is, I believe she's a professor, I'm not sure where, and she's a political activist, feminist, but very outspoken against the social justice warrior third wave feminist movement we see going on now. All three of them are great. All three of them are awesome. Crowder and Yiannopoulos are two of my favorite people to listen to, for sure. Anyways, they had this event, and like all events being put on by conservative groups, it was protested loudly, incoherently, and relentlessly. This little gem of an individual was shouting over the speakers, yelling about hate speech and bigotry, because, if you disagree with her, you're a bigot and a sexist. So all these people were protesting, and they were swiftly destroyed by Steven Crowder, which I'm sure you've seen his response. I think it has close to 2 million views now, but I'll post part of it right here.
Time to listen up, you silly liberal fruitcakes. I came out here, I wanted to tell some jokes. Let's do some reality checks here. Do you have any idea, sir, how pathetic it must be to be you? These people wanted to come out and have a good time, hear a few jokes, some thoughtful discussion, but your head pops off the pillow in the morning with, oh, how can I be a professional victim today? Let me go in and screw with their act just because, oh my God, your parents didn't tell you that your opinion wasn't worth that much. Look, they're confused. You know why? Because I'm not your gender studies professor who has to cater to your trigger warning, microaggression, safe space bullshit. want to do this. I wanted to come out and tell a few jokes. You created this monster. We have to go. 10 more minutes of this. Let this reverberate. Let it be a life lesson. This monster right here that you're so afraid of, the face you see in your nightmares, was created by social justice warrior assholes like you. And now you have this wonderful faggot. That's what happens. We okay? We good? Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Darling, you can call me what you like.
Oh, okay, there we go. Crying out loud, listen. Nobody here wants to hear your opinion that much. And here's what's so crazy. You couldn't wait 5 minutes. Unlike leftists, we have an open panel and a Q&A session because we want an open idea. Oh, I'm a racist. There you go. That's a new one. Where'd you learn that one in Social Human Studies 101? Right next to the giant, I don't know, wild boar I couldn't see who said there's no such thing as fat chicks. Guess what? If you think there aren't, you are one, okay?
Yeah, pretty great. There was actually a Q&A session scheduled for people to ask questions, but of course, social justice warriors can't have that. None of that. That would be reasonable, and God forbid they be reasonable. It's unfortunately another example of the idiocy of my generation. Unfortunately. I'll link to the speech. It's about an hour and a half long. It's definitely worth watching. It's great. For any SJWs who have wandered into this video and haven't left and don't need a hug yet, little trigger warning in case you don't know who these people are. You will be offended. Very, very, very offended. Specifically by Milo. He calls himself a provocateur, and he's very good at it. He will piss you off. It's one of the reasons I love him so much. He's not afraid to say what he thinks. He even went as far as to say every time there was an unscheduled interruption, he was going to donate money to the Trump campaign, and that just made them more mad and interrupt them even more because logic eludes them, apparently. Just yelling about diversity. There was even a question about why are there only white people on the stage, and very easy statement to just show how insane it is. There was a gay British Trump supporter, a lifelong registered Democrat feminist, and a conservative Christian on stage debating. They didn't all agree on everything, but they were there and they were talking. Diversity? Yes. Intellectual diversity. Just not racial diversity, and that seems to be the only thing progressives care about. It doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, they don't seem to realize what everyone on the right realizes, which I guess I'm technically part of the right. You can disagree with someone and still like them, talk to them, have conversations with them. I don't know, all three of those people I have differences with. I don't support Trump. I'm not religious at all, but I still love Crowder and Milo. You can disagree with people and still get good information from them. Along with that, we had a Donald Trump rally in Costa Mesa, California, which again, of course, there were riots. Shocking, I know. There's another man I follow by the name of Mike Cernovich. He's been getting a lot of press recently. You've probably heard of him. He's a lawyer, a blogger, an author, and recently busted into the political sphere like I'm trying to do, but he did it much more successfully than I have. So far, I'll get there. I'll catch up with you guys. Give me 6 months. Yeah, I think he's friends with Milo. He had a really large following already, so when he decided to start doing politics, it was a smooth transition for him. And he's great. Again, I disagree with a lot of what he does, but he's great, good information, and he goes out there and gets stuff done. He was at this rally. He recorded a whole bunch of videos of the riots, which are right here.
people that shouldn't have been here, people that should have never been allowed to come over the border, and they come here like it's nothing. They walk through it like it's just nothing. And we're going to stop it, and we're going to build a wall. We're going to also... We can't have this, folks. We don't have a country anymore. You know, I'm looking at statistics where your crime numbers are so crazy, they're going through the roof. So we can't have it anymore.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, and he's been getting a lot of publicity for that. People have been using his videos. These are the peaceful peaceful protesters. Some of them don't even claim to be peaceful anymore. They don't care. All Sanders supporters, people that talk about equality and fairness, and then advocate violence against people who disagree with them. This is what we've been reduced to. You say something I don't like, I get to hurt you or threaten you. There's another video that I saw when he posted it, but I couldn't find it, where Cernovich actually went and talked to some of the protesters. He's doing a documentary on free speech right now, so he went to, go talk to them, get their opinions, and had some bottles thrown at him, whatever. It's just a bottle, right? And violence. What does that mean? It's fine. We disagree with you. Yeah, I don't... Just take a minute to explain something. Just because you disagree with someone, or think he's spouting hate speech, whatever the hell that means, doesn't mean you get to threaten violence against the candidate or anyone that supports him. I don't like Donald Trump. Like I said, that's some of my disagreements with these guys. I don't like Trump. I'm not going to vote for him. I never planned on voting for him. But that's all it is. You don't plan on voting for someone. You tell them you disagree. I despise Bernie Sanders. I hate Hillary Clinton. I have friends that like them. We might call each other idiots every once in a while when we're talking about politics, but that's as far as it goes. You don't get to hurt people for saying things you don't like. It's kind of a cornerstone of a free society. You can say what you want to say, and no one will try to stab you or throw things at you and hit you in the head with a brick. I had an article on my website talking about I forget what school it was, but the students freaking out about someone chalking Trump 2016. Sticks and stones, man. That kindergarten cliche saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's kind of true. And anyone who doesn't think it's true is an emotional and intellectual midget.
No matter how you act, I can rise above it. Rise above it! Get it? Shut your fucking mouth!
So, along the same lines, Trump, we had to talk about the previous thing before we could talk about the more recent thing, otherwise people get confused, doesn't make sense, people go, what the hell's going on, and they get confused and vote for Hillary. The Indiana primary, Trump he cleaned up. I think it was like a high 20s, low 30% lead. And it led to Cruz dropping out. Everyone knew he was going to. Twitter was on fire about it for like 10-15 minutes before it happened. We were just waiting. And he came out, and being the classy man that he is, left the political arena with grace and style.
Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like.
So that happened. So after he dropped out, this led every rational person in America to kind of sit back and scratch their head and be like, wait, so Cruz left, but Kasich's still in the race. Why is he, Kasich, what is he doing? And there was just a collective confusion that exploded from every American's head. And he must have felt that, because the next morning he dropped out and got to go have a press conference while eating a slice of pizza. I don't know what it is with that man talking to reporters while he's eating, but he can do whatever he wants to do. And then, after Trump won, Reince Priebus, who if you don't know who he is, no one blames you. He's the chairman of the RNC. He came out and tweeted, I forget the exact qualifier he used, but he said something like, Trump is the presumptive nominee, or the presumed, I think presumed is what he said, the presumed nominee, and we need to get behind him to stop Hillary, hashtag never Hillary or never Clinton or something like that. And of course he qualified with presumed or presumptive nominee because, little known fact, politicians are deathly allergic to definitive statements. It's true, look it up, medical dictionary. So Trump's running for the Republicans. I know moral outrage from some of you. I saw the moral outrage. You know, there were people posting pictures and videos of themselves burning their voter registration cards. There were huge spikes in Google search trends for Libertarian Party and Gary Johnson, which is awesome for me, because, yeah, man, we need all the help we can get. But people are upset. And on the other side of the moral outrage, there's the cheers of victory from so many more people who are just upset with the political system, because, in case you haven't been paying attention, the Republicans are not the small government party anymore. They're not the party looking out for you. They kind of just do what they need to do to keep their jobs. I understand why people are upset. I understand why people want someone to go in and blow it up from the inside. I just don't think this is the way to do it. So now we just sit back and wait for all of the people who are bad-mouthing Trump, all of the mainstream media guys, all of the pundits, all of the talking heads to come out and justify why they get to switch over and join the Trump train. These people that, nope, never gonna vote for Trump ever, we're on Cruz's side. That was when they thought Cruz could win. And now that he can't, they're gonna be like, well, they're gonna do exactly what Reince Priebus said. Well, we can't let Hillary win, so we're gonna have to vote for the Donald. And they're gonna try to convince you to do so. If you want to vote for Trump, go ahead. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for unless you're planning on voting for Bernie, in which case, don't do that. Please. Please don't do that. No. Seriously, though. Vote for whoever you want. Don't let people tell you who to vote for. Even me. Don't let me tell you who to vote for. Listen to the information people present. Listen to the arguments. Look at the evidence. Make your own decision, though. Don't vote party lines. Just because you're a registered Republican doesn't mean you have to vote for Trump if you don't like him. Have principles and vote based on your principles. Write your own name in. Vote for Vermin Supreme. Vote for me. Write my name in. Vote for me. I want to get 0.25% of the votes. Come on, let's make it happen. But yeah, they're gonna throw it all out. They're gonna say, if you don't vote for Trump, you're basically voting for Clinton. That's not true. If anything, it's a neutral vote. It doesn't matter. It's not your fault if he loses. They should have presented a better candidate. They should have presented someone that held up your principles, your beliefs, spoke for you. And like I said, a lot of people were looking up Libertarian Party and Gary Johnson and all that stuff. So apparently people are thinking a lot like I am, which is good. We need some change. On the other side, Bernie beat Hillary again. There's actually rumors now that the Democratic Party is going to go to a contested convention, which I think is hilarious, except for the fact that no one cares, because both potential nominees are steaming piles of garbage, just for different reasons. But if the whole superdelegates thing, I know it's how the party works, and that's fine. It's rules they had. But if those weren't there, Sanders is 300 delegates behind. He's not that far behind. And I know Clinton has another 500 superdelegates, but the whole thing about them is they can switch sides. They can kind of go wherever they want. So who knows who's going to win? It's going to be interesting, for sure. I don't really care because I don't like either of them, but it's going to be interesting to watch. But everyone's assuming it's going to be Clinton and Trump. So if we do assume that, we can we can prepare for a very entertaining election, because at that point for me, I have nothing left to lose. I have no dog in the race. All bets are off for me. I don't care who wins. I think Trump would be slightly better than Hillary, but I'm not going to vote for him because I vote on principle, not against other candidates. It would be a mudslinging contest, and it would be great. I think Trump. I don't know if Trump would win the election, but Trump would win the media coverage for sure. We've already seen all of Trump's skeletons. They've been brought up in the primaries, and Clinton would just bring up the same thing, try to attack him more. Trump's better at playing defense. He's better at manipulating the media. He knows how to work the news channels, and then he could bring up Monica Lewinsky on stage and all of the other women that Bill apparently, allegedly assaulted. Poke fun at the FBI investigation, poke fun at the public corruption charges. It would be really entertaining to watch. And we're probably going to see that. I know I shouldn't be drawing entertainment from this election, but, I got to take what I can get. So that's the election news. Let's jump into some economics now, because it's much more entertaining. Well, maybe not entertaining, but interesting, at least for me. The European Central Bank, the Eurozone, has officially banned the 500 euro bill. Yep. Why? Well, the only people that are going to use those things are drug dealers and terrorists. Do you need a 500 euro bill? No, I don't think so. That's a dumb question. Why would you even ask? Trying to cut down on crime. No, that's what they're saying, though. The European Central Bank has plans to phase out the bill by 2018, meaning that $1 million, and it says dollars, so I assume exchange equivalent, meaning that $1 million, which right now in 500 euro notes would weigh only 5 pounds, would be doubled. No, wait, not doubled, two and a half times as heavy. That solves that. No one's going to want to carry around 12 or 13 pounds of cash to make $1 million illegal transaction. Yeah, these people are idiots. I mean, there used to be $500 bills, $1,000 bills. I think there were $10,000 bills. They got rid of those. I think it was late 60s, I think. Don't quote me on that, though. But you think criminal activities significantly drop just because it's a little more inconvenient to carry around cash? No one cares. These people are insane. So I know, New York Times article, by the way. I know some people have asked me to source what I talk about more, which that is an issue I have. This is a New York Times article. I'll link to it. But they go on to say here, there are still many illegal ways to hide transactions: offshore banks, shell companies, digital currency like Bitcoin. Which I used to be skeptical of Bitcoin, but I've gotten more on board with it the more I've learned about it. Maybe I'll do a video talking about it soon. But the very next sentence reveals it all. It allows transactions outside the purview of central banks and regulators. And that's what it's all about. They can't track what you're doing with cash. Offshore banks aren't illegal. You just have to let them know that you have one. You have to, on your tax returns or your IRS, whatever, your IRS, to the IRS, you have to let them know, oh yeah, by the way, I have money over here. And there's a limit. I think it's you have to have over, I don't remember what it is, but there's a limit. It's if you have X amount of dollars or more in an offshore bank account, you have to let them know. It's not illegal. There's an entire industry based around helping people internationalize their assets. Doug Casey, for any of you who follow investing, specifically international investing, Doug Casey is a big name in that field of buying into developing economies and moving money into foreign bank accounts, international. Flag theory is the system that these people advocate. And I mean, the only reason it's such a pain in the ass is because Obama passed a law called FATCA, which makes it mandatory for all foreign banks that are transacting business with U.S. citizens, whether they live abroad or not. They have to report to the IRS. So a lot of foreign banks refuse to even do business with U.S. citizens anymore because the regulation costs are so high. And if they mess anything up, they get huge fines from the U.S. government. Anytime they try to transact in U.S. currencies, it's an insane system. And aside from a very small country in Africa, the United States is the only country in the world that taxes worldwide income, whether you're living here or not. I mean, you could be living in Australia, own a real estate development company in Australia, spend all your money in Australia, never even come back to America. As long as you still have your U.S. citizenship, you have to pay income tax in the United States. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So that, the assault on large denomination cash, along with negative interest rates, which if you guys don't pay attention to economics, you may not have heard about this. It was in the news not too long ago because the Federal Reserve was running tests to see how a negative interest rate would affect our economy. Spoiler alert, it's not good. It's pretty bad, actually. But the way negative interest rate works is instead of receiving interest on your bank deposits, you pay the bank to hold the money for you. And if you take out a loan, the negative interest rate on the loan actually eats away at the principal. So if you borrow 50 grand, you might only have to pay back 47, 45 grand. No way that could backfire, right? No way that could cause a credit bubble. No way people might decide to, I don't know, stuff their cash in their mattress instead of paying a bank to hold it. It's happening in Japan already. Japan has negative interest rates. Home safe sales have been shooting through the roof in Japan because they don't want to pay 0.5% or 1% to hold their money. Excuse me, in a bank. So these people come out and they're like, oh well, these large denominations we have to get rid of them because terrorists are using them. So then it's harder to hold money in cash because you need more space to put it away. Now, if they get into saying people are only using cash for illegal purposes, and then they force you to have basically digital currency, just numbers in a bank account, and then they throw on negative interest rates, it's essentially another tax. You either spend your money to stimulate the outdated, insane, and incoherent economic concept called aggregate demand, or you pay the tax, you pay the money tax, you pay for not wanting to spend everything you have. And this, I know it sounds crazy, but I mean, similar things have happened, and not too long ago. There was Cyprus. There was the Cypriot banking crisis back in 2013, just a few years ago. They were over-leveraged, out of money. They were defaulting on their loans. They essentially stole bank deposits. They took a little less than 50% of money that was deposited with them to pay out the bad debt. I think, if I remember correctly, the way they did it was they basically did a convertible note. So a bank deposit, all a bank deposit is a loan to the bank, in case you guys weren't aware of that. You put money in a bank and they use that. That's fractional reserve banking. You put $100 in the bank account. They don't have to keep that $100. They have to keep $25, $30, $35 as a fractional reserve, and the rest they get to loan out to people. That's how they make money. So when you deposit money in a bank account, it's essentially a loan, and they're guaranteeing that they can pay you back, and that's why you get interest on a bank deposit. It's essentially interest they're paying you to loan them your money. So it's essentially a debt. I don't want to say a debt security, but it's a form of debt. And what they did was they converted that debt into equity. So if you had $1 million in the bank, they took $480,000 and said, hey, you don't get this money back, but good news, you now own 450, some of it was just used to pay off, but $450,000, $470,000 worth of equity in this bank. They didn't offer it to you, it was mandatory. So guess what? You own part of this bank now, and we took a bunch of your money in order to make that happen. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen in the United States. I don't think it will. I'm just saying pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on in the world. This might make me sound like some sort of crazy conspiracy theorist. Who knows? But either way, people need to pay attention to what's going on, not just in our country, but the whole world. I mean, Venezuela's falling apart. They don't have enough money to print more money. Let that sink in for a second. They can't even afford to make money. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad down there. Congress is debating a bailout for Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico was so bad with their money. They financed a large portion of their economy on debt, and then financed that debt with more debt, which is essentially paying off credit card bills with more credit cards. And now the U.S. government's going to come in and be like, oh, well, we're going to take over now, and U.S. taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. Maybe, that's another good video to do. So what did I say I was going to do a video on next? I was going to do Bitcoin. I was going to do the Puerto Rican thing. And we'll probably go in and talk about the whole European banking thing too. This is just there's so much going on right now, guys. I struggle to even think about what to put up here because there's so many options. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Share this with someone, whether you think they'll like it or hate it. I don't care. Just make them watch it. And I'll be back next week with some more news for you.